Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
All right.
Oh shit! Welcome to what are we doing? What is this?
We're doing a Hypecast.
We're doing a Hypecast.
Hey everyone, it's Hypecast time. And I realize this is like the 20th episode. We have not once described what the show is.
What? Why would we?
I don't know, because normally at the beginning of a podcast, you go like, hey, this is our show, and this is what the show is, just for
I feel like I
brevity
picked it up.
and continuity's sake. But this is Hypecast,
Yeah.
where Dave gently coughs,
Yeah.
and then, Jesus Christ, what are you doing?
He's got a lot of wind and fluid going on in
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
he's just a
That big old meathead he's
a
got.
sack of illness.
Yeah,
Right
you
now.
like that?
This is the show where we talk about the entertainment news of the week.
Yeah, that's about it.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And get hyped about it
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and other times get real
Unhyped.
frowny about it.
Can I say, I
Opposite
didn't
of hype.
think this was a frowny week in entertainment, looking at the material. It's like, don't want to spoil anything for anybody yet.
Oh, yeah. No, it was
I thought this was like a pretty good week. Of,
Solid week,
Of
solid
teasers
week.
and such.
Yeah.
we're recording a little later in the week than we normally do, but I
Yeah.
think I enjoy. It'll be less last minute this time, but I think I enjoy recording on like a Thursday. That way, there's not such a gap in what we haven't covered
Right.
for that past week.
Yeah. Totally makes
But yeah. So we got some trailers. We're gonna start off with some trailers.
Yeah, let's do the trailers.
Thick.
Starting
Hold on,
with
I gotta
the
pull
Sisters
it. the
Brothers.
Sisters Brothers. Yeah.
What is the tone of this movie?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I am so here for this movie.
You're
Yeah.
here for it.
I'm
okay.
very excited to watch this movie.
It seems like two plots fused together. Sort of like the entire joke that's based on this pun. It seems like two things.
Yeah.
There's one thing that's like this guy has a secret plan or something. I wasn't clear on that. And then there's the we're outlaws that need to like get one last robbery to stop killing people.
Well, they're trying to track down Riz Ahmed.
Okay.
Like, that's their job, is to track him down.
And he's the job that finally lets them stop doing jobs.
I assume so.
Okay, fair enough.
It's got Jake Gyllenhaal. Is he
Yeah.
Is he the main guy?
I guess Jake Gyllenhaal's maybe somebody who's hired them. It's hard to
Okay.
tell, or like he
Yeah, because
spots.
the trailer it seems to be Joaquin Phoenix and John C.
Joaquin
Reilly.
Phoenix and John C. Reilly are the titular Sisters Brothers.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
assassins, hired guns, what have you.
I just think that the casting on this really puts the tone in the question mark zone. Because Gyllenhaal's like, now I don't know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Riley and Joaquin Phoenix in a movie called Sisters Brothers. I know what that is.
Well,
sorry, I'm spoiling something for you. Go ahead.
no. I'm interrupting. I'm having respiratory issues.
You're interrupting so that you can cough
So
Yeah.
cough
slowly.
directly into the
Yeah,
microphone
yeah, yeah.
to the delight of all of our listeners.
No, it seems like it's one of those movies like like In Bruges,
Yeah.
where like there's something to it that they can't quite.
Reveal?
Yeah, they can't quite convey in the trailer.
I hope that's true. Because In Bruges is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't think it was fantastic from any trailer you could cut
Oh,
to.
right.
Okay.
We forgot to introduce you, by the way.
I'm Adam.
Adam Ganser is our guest this week.
I'm on this podcast. And
Yeah.
have been for quite some time now.
Yeah, for 3 or 4 minutes now. It's being billed as a dark comedy, so
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it might not be as good as In Bruges, but I think it's that thing where like the tone is very strange, and therefore
Sure.
the trailers are maybe having trouble telling us what it is.
I just want to say that there's a continuum of weird tone, and In Bruges is the ultimate great version of weird
Yes.
tone. But then there's movies like Brothers Grimm,
Yeah.
where weird tone is just really bad movie.
Yeah, or like
You know?
the in-betweens, like Shoot 'em Up, or like
Yeah.
maybe Smoking Aces. I know some people have strong opinions on Smoking
Yeah.
Aces.
I am not one of those people.
Okay, that director made Stretch, I believe it's called, which was a decent sequel
Yeah.
that no one saw. Or Running Scared. Running
Oh, I
Scared
saw
is
Running
another
Scared.
one.
That is a
where like
gonzo-ass
tonally,
movie.
yeah, tonally, it's like if you're a marketing executive and you're looking at that movie, you're just like, I don't know what to tell people.
You stick with the basic. He's trying to find this gun
Yeah.
Action movie. Yeah,
that this kid has.
Yeah.
And the kid goes through the fucking looking glass.
And so Sisters Brothers seems like that type of thing where maybe the main story they're telling us in the trailer really doesn't matter. Them
That's
going
a lot
to find
of
this
plot
guy.
to not matter.
I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
I mean, right? I feel like the plot is the movie.
Yeah.
We got a lot of beats in that plot in that
bold
teaser.
stance.
I mean, I'm sorry, you couldn't see my shrug, audience. I shrugged at him like, well, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the plot is the movie, but like there might be just tonally something unique about the movie that they
For
can't
sure.
convey.
For sure.
It's the same like how comedies always look worse in the trailers.
Right, because they have to show you
do
like
this-
the punchline with no context.
Yeah,
It's
the
like-
jokes that take 5 seconds to tell.
Yeah.
That used to be not as true as it is now. Like, I remember
Right.
when I saw the trailer for Dumb and Dumber, which I was 14 or whatever when that trailer came out. That trailer was exactly as good as that movie was, which was
Excellent.
splendid. It was splendid.
Perfect film.
Yes.
it is.
And that trailer
That's
was
true.
like, this is going to be great.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it was.
It was great.
They've lost their way in terms of comedy trailers.
Yeah.
Can I make another trailer observation?
Yeah.
We've moved into a new phase. We were in that Inception blah phase forever, and now
Yep.
we're in the let's redo a pop song melodramatically.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've been there for a minute. Yeah,
They also
but
did the slow piano covers for a while,
Yeah.
like basically Westworld.
Westworld. Yes.
Yeah, they had
the Avengers,
yeah.
the Jurassic World. There are a lot of trailers did this.
Yeah, they usually it's at least starts with like a single finger on a piano
But
hitting the keys.
it's really silly.
It's
Yeah.
very,
Real
it's
silly.
very
Trailers, I think, are always silly. There's very few trailers that don't eventually wind up being really dated. The ones I would say,
Sure.
the only two I can think of, and I'm sure there's more, but the only two I can think of that really like still hold up is the
Alien and
original
The Shining.
Alien and the original Shining trailers.
Have you seen the original Clockwork Orange trailer?
Oh yeah, that's
That's
No,
another.
but
that's
I bet
pretty
it's
good.
insane.
Yeah.
Well,
I would
Stanley
also-
Kubrick demanded to do it himself, so you already
Sure.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
he did the Shining one too, right?
yeah.
He's like, I must.
Yeah.
And I think it was the same thing for Alien, right? Didn't Ridley Scott
I
cut that trailer?
think so.
Yeah, it's a great trailer.
It's I like the idea that
But
filmmakers
anyways,
make their
continue
own
about the Clockwork
The
Orange.
Clockwork Orange trailer is just. He famously used the William Tell Overture at double speed and like had an orgy montage essentially
Yeah.
in that movie.
Oh, I do remember
And
that.
then he just showed events of this movie in fast forward to that song, and it was like, "This is going to be great," and it
Yeah.
was. Like, you know what I mean? Perfect.
Man, I'm hard. Oof.
You don't like that movie? You don't like it? Interesting.
No, I don't.
Wow.
Like, Clockwork Orange.
It's really rough.
It is,
especially
it's,
now.
It's very
Yeah.
rough, and
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I have to watch it when like Marina's not at home. She has to be in a different state for me to watch a Clockwork Orange. But it's just every time I watch that movie, like the first half of it, I'm like, I've been too hard on this movie. This movie's
Right.
good, and then like,
But that's the rough part.
and then it twists.
Yeah.
In the center it was the roughest part where
Yeah.
with the porcelain dick.
Yep.
And then the second half of the movie, it's just I don't know.
The second half is more boring because it's just a replay. He likes operatic structures and instead of 3-act structures. And well, I mean they are still 3-act structures. Anyway, the second half is always more boring. Like Eyes Wide Shut, for instance, he has like that whole movie builds up to that crazy orgy, which is insane, and then the second half of it is just not as good because he goes back and tours all the places that he was before. And
Right, it's like-
finds, oh, I was being lied to somehow. You
It's
know, like,
here's the first part. It's I don't want to call it the curated experience, but it's like the first part is like the character is going through all this, and either they're in
Right.
control or they possess or don't possess a certain piece of information.
Right.
And then the second half is them coming back through, having lost control or gained a certain piece of information. That's like all of the shit that you thought is now not that. And I get why that's super interesting in a cerebral way, but it's
sure.
not always
not always
exciting in a
emotionally
movie.
satisfying.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that's fair.
We've gotten pretty far away from Sisters Brothers.
Sure.
I want
Sisters
to
Brothers looks
point
good.
out. Sorry, while we're talking about Clockwork Orange, you guys know Darth Vader's in that movie.
David Prowse?
Yeah, David Prowse is in a Clockwork Orange.
What's he play?
He's the guy who's carrying around the old man who he
Oh, sure, yeah.
attacks.
Oh,
Yeah, that's fucking Darth Vader.
That's a weird part.
Yeah,
There's a lot of very strange old men in Clockwork Orange, by the
Yeah.
way.
It's loaded with weird looking old men.
Oh, and
Yeah.
like they do the weirdest things. Anyway, we've
Yeah.
talked about that movie enough.
And all the fisheye stuff.
he loves that crap.
I hate fisheye.
oh, I love it.
I don't like it unless it really means something. And then that
I think it's
movie-
effective there because
Yeah.
it's meant to do what it does to me, which is make me feel disgusted.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. Sorry,
Anyways.
man. You're trying to keep us on tack. Trying to
I
keep
was
us
going to
hyped.
keep derailing us, to
Oh, I
be
love
honest.
it.
I was going to keep
Keep
talking
on
about
this,
Eyes Wide Shut.
You look like you were preparing for a
Kubrick
cough
train.
first. 1 minute of coughing first.
Well, now I did it
No,
because
really,
I
just make
suggested
sure every
it.
time you do it directly into the microphone.
Yeah. I think, you know what
Get
it
a
is?
snort in
Just
there.
so
Wrap your
people
entire
know,
mouth around
I
it.
breathed something from the microphone when we started. Like, there was dust on it. Because I'm
Maybe-
not sick or anything.
Maybe it
just,
was your previous illness. You breathed it right off that mic.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I make love to these microphones every time.
I know.
I get
Sweet.
right up in there.
It's been a while, but
Yeah.
I never forget the sight of it.
Yeah. We should probably talk about Christopher Robin.
Oh, that
I'm
was.
very confused.
Oh, I think it's just Hook.
It's Hook.
It's
100%
definitely Hook.
Yeah.
But
I'm confused by the tone because I'm watching it and
Hold
it's
up.
like this muted tones, and
Yeah.
it's like it looked like it was supposed to be like some gritty, like, oh, this is the true story of Christopher Robin, and then a bunch of fucking cartoon characters show up, but they all look like ratty, and still it's all
they're beat up toys.
yeah.
Yeah,
The colors are and then it's like a slapsticky kids movie in the middle of the trailer, and
Like,
it's like,
right-
well,
right.
what the fuck are you making?
the
then?
tone of the film seems to be Hook, where it's like it's
Yes.
fun and playful. It's going to be kind of bittersweet and
Yeah.
and a little sad in parts, but it's ultimately going to be fun. But yeah, the color palette of this film is like
is London.
and the
What are you
music.
doing?
That's what they did. They're like,
Yeah.
London's always washed out
like
and
gray and
yeah.
somber.
shitty.
Yeah,
But just make it look like a kids movie. Like
So I mean, I would
I
get
don't
like
know,
it seems
kids
like
bright
I
colors.
didn't hate this choice. I understand.
I can't say I hated it.
I don't like that it has to be one way or the other. Because like later on, we're
Yeah.
going to talk about that werewolf movie, and the coolest thing about that werewolf movie is that they don't do the color palette you expect.
That's true.
And we can talk about that. But I just wanted to say your question marks about the tone are right on, because not just color palette, but because the first like 30 seconds of this trailer was a horror movie. Like it was like, oh, is this going to be like
Yeah.
a really gritty story? And you realize Winnie the Pooh would be a really terrifying horror villain.
Yeah.
Like just his weird
Yeah.
lines and demeanor.
Well, it's
doesn't
like a
understand
Chucky doll
anything.
thing.
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
get where I want to go by
Well, have
walking
you seen-
further away from where I am. Oh God!
Have you
like,
watched the Winnie the Pooh? Not watched, read the Winnie the Pooh, like the comic strips.
No,
He's like a
I can't say I have.
sociopath in those. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I'll take a second to Google it, I guess.
I mean,
but
he's
it's
got sort of
insane.
a sweet Rain Man quality in the trailer that we just watched. Also, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's definitely not. He's definitely not on like our earthly plane. He's ascended somewhere. Like
Yeah.
he's either a bodhisattva or he's like a real dum dum.
What are you? Are we both
I don't
Googling
know.
now? Is
Yeah.
that what's happening?
What
Yeah.
are you googling?
I was gonna find Winnie the Pooh being a maniac.
it's
Yeah. I mean, Winnie the Pooh's kind of a beloved character.
yeah.
And I think this is like a kind of reimagining of him in some ways.
It's Hook.
Yeah. I mean, it is Hook because it's just the guy obviously learns how to.
And I imagine
Be a
they'll
kid
do
again.
the same references that they do in Hook, where Hook is actually one of the most faithful adaptations of the novel Peter Pan.
Oh.
Oh yeah, because
I didn't know
they
that.
pull direct pieces of dialogue. They reference things that happen in the book specifically, not in the Disney movie. Like a lot of their banter that they have back and forth is slightly tweaked versions of the banter
what's
that
in the
they
novel.
had in the novel. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
All right.
I didn't know that. Okay, here we go.
So I found on a website called cracked.com
Oh, God.
about
get
childhood.
fucked.
And it's Winnie the Pooh. I'm going to describe a comic for the podcast.
Sure,
gonna
no,
be
It's
this is
Winnie
great.
the Pooh walking up to Eeyore, and he says, "You take yourself too seriously, Eeyore." And Eeyore says, "You mean I should laugh at myself, Pooh?" Pooh says, "Why not? Everyone else does," and just walks away. That's the strip.
It's like
and
Charlie
it's like,
Brown.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck, Pooh?
Every
Yeah.
Charlie Brown strip is a kid walking up to him. Hey, Charlie Brown, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing all right. Oh, that's interesting. You should kill yourself, and they walk away. That's every Charlie Brown strip.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that in the 30s. I think it
In
was
the
just
30s,
a sad
I
time.
think everybody was just fucking
Everybody
bummed
was just really bummed
about World War II.
walking around with all that depression glass. Just like, you know what, man? Maybe you should just take your own life. What do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe. Don't have a job, so...
that's probably a Pooh comic there. This is that
Probably
verbatim.
is. I noticed that they didn't go in too hard with Tigger, who, as I understand,
He was
it-
less intense.
Yeah, as I recall from my childhood, he was the most beloved character from that quartet of stuffed dolls.
He got his own movie.
He was definitely the
Yeah.
one that the kids latched onto. I mean, because he's like fun and bouncing all over the place, and
So-
he has kind of the irreverence and irresponsibility
Yeah.
of a child.
Yeah, and
So-
the energy.
Yeah, and the energy.
It was strange to have so little of him
Yeah.
in this trailer.
Maybe they're holding back. They want to keep that sweet Tigger juice for opening weekend.
You gotta love that Tigger
That
juice.
Tigger juice. But he's like all washed out.
Yeah, and again, like if I was a parent bringing my kid to see this, I'd be like, should I bring them to see it? Is it going to be tragic?
What
like,
if-
are they all going to die or something? Like,
Oh,
I'd be
that's not gonna
nervous
happen.
about bringing my kids to this movie because it just doesn't. I just want I would just want these hypothetical kids to like shut the fuck up and watch a movie for an hour and a half.
Walk
if-
with me on this journey, Dave.
Okay.
What if the dolls get more saturated and into better condition as he learns to embrace his
They got
childhood?
That would be
Pleasantville,
cool.
this Shit.
I mean,
I'd be into that. Yeah.
That doesn't seem. Disney thinks this shit through. You know they do. You've been to Disneyland.
Yeah,
That place is the most manicured place on the planet. Like, they've thought this through, and this objection is an interesting one. So what about that? That's a possibility.
Disney thinks this stuff through to an extent, I think. I guess Disney has been doing several things. They'll do regular kids movies, right?
Correct.
Then they've been doing like this Lion King, the Beauty and the Beast, like the live action remakes that are kind of intense. Like they're for older kids.
That's not what this is.
And kids love them. Yeah, that's not what this is. They've also been doing that. Like, didn't they do the one about making Mary Poppins
Yeah, saving Mr.
saving Mr. Banks? Did they do Finding Neverland?
No,
Saving
Finding
Mr.
Neverland
Banks
was- Okay.
is drama.
Exactly.
And Finding Neverland is not a Disney thing.
Okay, yeah, but this feels like it exists in this weird realm between doing like Saving Mr. Banks and doing like a gritty Jungle Book.
But it's clearly.
You're right that-
you don't want to be cynical, but they're clearly going to sell Winnie the Poohs off
Yeah,
of this, right?
yeah, that's the thing is you're right that it's Disney and they know what they're doing, and
100%.
I trust them to make a movie because they've made several that are very good.
I've heard of a few of
They've
them.
made
Yeah.
a few. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've made a few.
It's more like, I mean, all we have to go by is this trailer, and just from this trailer, if I had kids, I'd be like, I don't know about this. Like, I need to see more.
I don't think this trailer is for children. I think the trailer is for the adults who are going to take the children.
Right.
And this is cynical. I'll admit to that because I would personally prefer if the dolls stayed that way. I think that's a cool decision.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're
I
old
like-
toys. They should
no,
look
I
like
like
old
what you're
toys. I
describing.
think that's cool. But I think Disney's also like cynical enough. They're like, we're gonna have to sell. Like, we only do this movie to get people more interested in Winnie the Pooh again. So how do we make this a toy
Right.
that people want to buy? Because they're doing that shit.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
Yeah, I can see them turning into more marketable characters by the end of this movie.
completely.
But it's weird because the Mary Poppins
Little like
movie
links on it where you can buy them on Amazon.
yeah, the Mary Poppins movie I trust more because the original Mary Poppins is fucking terrifying. So
is,
that
a little
makes
bit.
sense that the trailer for the remake is also terrifying, and it's like, okay, they're keeping to the
Yeah.
terrifying nature that is the witch Mary Poppins.
I just feel like every single experience I have with movies is slowly turning into the first act from Fight Club, where it's just like everything labered with a price tag.
Yeah,
and I'm, like,
yeah.
walking
Yeah.
through this fiction.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You're seeing everything as it appears in the IKEA catalog.
Oh yeah,
and I'm also mumbling to myself a lot,
Yeah.
just like that
Just-
guy is. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
muttering to myself under my breath.
Planet Starbucks.
Fight Club.
I mean,
What
yeah.
a great movie.
It is. I got to watch it again. I realized it was one of my favorite movies. It was a movie that made me want to get more into movies.
Yes.
And I watched it so much
Yeah.
that I probably haven't watched it in 10 years
That's
since
right.
then. Because I just know the movie and I just haven't seen it in so long.
The filmmaking in that movie is better than the script.
Yeah.
Which is very rare.
Yeah.
There's only a few movies I can think of that are like Drive is another one where the filmmaking
Yes,
is better than the
yeah.
script.
Yeah.
But Fight Club falls into this weird genre of movie that, and I know this is not what this podcast is about, of like bad mentor who you can't trust. Because I've been like specifically researching this lately, and there's like I
Right.
don't know, like not that many of these movies, but there's a really specific genre of it. And Fight
Wall
Club's
Street.
the best. Wall Street's one of them. That's
Yeah,
right.
Wall Street.
There's a movie called Bad Influence with Rob Lowe and James Spader.
You're bringing
Sure.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll move on from that point.
We should probably move on
Sure.
to
Yeah.
Skyscraper.
This is
The-
the second trailer for Skyscraper, which shows you the entire movie
From beginning to
in
end.
order.
A little bit. Well, it's Die Hard, so they know you like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, but I was surprised because it's literally like, okay, and here's the first act, and he has to get into the building.
I was-
and he gets on the crane, and he jumps off the crane, and then he talks
Right.
to his family, and then the villains come, and they're like, we want you to open the safe for us, so they kidnap his family, and then he has to fight the bad guys and save his family, and he puts them in an elevator to get them out of the skyscraper, and the elevator drops through the flaming area.
I remember that.
And it's a big set piece, and then he fights the bad guys up on the elevator, and he gets through the door just in time, and they point the gun, and presumably he fights the bad guy, and the credits roll. Like, it's every single moment.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how much of the in-between stuff they showed. Like, they showed all the big set pieces, but they showed a lot of, like, little stuff that was, like they showed the entirety of him climbing up the crane to then jump to the thing. And then they show these little beats that are, like, the filling of the movie. That's like, okay, I get that you're going to show us the big beats in the trailer, not necessarily in order. That's a weird decision. But, like, the little beats in between those sequences, like, that's why I go to the movie. Like, why are you... They showed a weird amount of, like, the little stuff
like
in between sequences.
This trailer seemed to believe that we needed a reason to care about The Rock and his family.
Yeah.
We needed a lot of reasons.
Right, like...
Which is a strange belief to have, because I love The Rock and have for decades.
All of us do.
Right. So it's strange that they felt like they really needed to get into what I would call the emotional glue of a movie that you never get in a trailer. Ever.
Exactly. Yeah,
you never get
strange.
that in a trailer.
There's so much of it in this.
Why did they do that? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like, they really didn't think that, like, okay, The Rock and Neve Campbell are married and have children. Yes, I care about what happens to them. Like, I don't want to see them fall out of a fucking building.
Yeah.
Like, they're really doing the work to make us really be invested in this family before we go see the film. It's like, no, I'll get there on my own in the movie. Like,
I mean, I haven't seen every Rock movie, but a lot of Rock movies that I can remember, I don't really know that many of the other characters except for maybe one of his buddies.
Yeah.
You know, as actors.
Oh, the actor,
but Neve Campbell is a known...
Sure.
Like, that's another person you don't need to spend this time on. Because it's like, oh, she has a given emotional value, right, to an audience member, right? They know who she is.
Of a certain age, yeah.
Yeah.
That might be
because she hasn't been in anything in a little bit.
Is she the only person named Nev in the world?
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm not even going to look it up.
Just checking, yeah.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. It's a weird name.
No. I'm sorry. Liv Tyler. I was thinking Nev. Liv Tyler.
No. Nev Scorsese. No. You forgot.
There's a Nev Scorsese?
No, I'm making shit up.
Okay.
Who knows, man? Who can say? There might be.
Yeah.
I'm going to say there definitely isn't, because that's what we both want to be true.
Okay. That's fair.
Works best for the purposes of this bit.
This is
Yeah.
this is all in our imagination anyway, so why not? You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they did all that work on that trailer, because Die Hard is the most sellable action movie idea there is. And they keep doing it.
They could literally have this trailer could have been The Rock in front of a black screen, and he just said, "Hey, I'm doing Die Hard."
Right.
And then
the movie
that's
could
it.
be Die Hard with The Rock. Like, that could be what it was called.
Yeah, I don't know why they had to show us, because it's weird, because action movies, they're all gonna live at the end and all that crap. The thing that an action movie can spoil is the action.
Yeah.
And this feels like it spoiled, it got a little too far. Because, like you said, you can see the big set pieces and stuff, obviously, in trailers, but this really just took me on the journey in this 3 minutes, and I feel spoiled. Like, I feel like, oh, you took a little bit of my excitement away.
It's a cynical enough trailer that it doesn't believe you care about the plot, but they know that the plot works. It's a really cynical trailer. It bums me out.
And it ends in a weird place too.
It led me to this question I wanted to ask you guys that I think fits into this podcast. Does The Rock have a seminal film in his catalog? Some place that's like, well, he will always be remembered for this movie.
Probably Jumanji.
Jumanji's pretty good. No, not Scorpion King. I disagree with you about that.
Scorpion King. The Rundown.
I mean, we can Tooth Fairy or whatever that one was called.
The Tooth
Are you
Fairy,
saying, like, what's
the
his
game plan?
What's his Terminator
2?
Yeah,
what is that for him? Because he's easily as big a star as Arnold was in his heyday, but he's not in as good of movies.
It's probably Jumanji.
It's a remake of a movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's a sequel. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's great. I loved it. I was very surprised.
Okay,
I think it's probably his best movie.
Jack Black imitating a teenage girl was way better than it needed to be.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, he was real good in that.
Dude is a pro.
He was. Man, I was like, man, I have missed you, Jack Black. I really have. You've been a real treasure. That's what I mean. I was thinking about this. I'm like, is The Rock forever going to be remembered as in movies plus these clips from his WWF time?
Oh, no.
Is that his legacy?
Maybe. I don't know.
You know?
Fast and the Furious, probably not because he wasn't.
No,
he's not
he
Vin
came in
Diesel
like
or
part
Paul Walker.
5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hercules is the movie that I think he did a scene where he screamed so much he passed out
Wow.
while they were shooting.
Right,
I
it's when he's
believe that was
tied
the
to a
scene.
post and like pulling on it. He has to scream, "I am Hercules!"
What a thing to pass out while
That's insane.
screaming.
It's an
G.I.
insane
Joe,
film.
I've never seen that one.
Journey,
Yeah, I mean,
the
you're just
other guys.
you're just listing a lot of
Tooth
movies.
Fairy.
that
Yeah,
are
you're
money
right.
grabs.
Yeah, Get Smart. Oh, man, it's a good
Those are all
question.
supporting roles too.
Southland Tales? It's got to be Southland Tales.
It makes
Right,
that's
Southland
his,
Tales,
yeah.
It makes me sad because I think that The Rock is a far improved
I'm gonna
version of a lot of the action stars that he's of that tradition. Like, I think he's better than Arnold Schwarzenegger as an actor. I think he's better. I think he is the real superhero motif. He's 6'5", he's a giant, he's charming.
Yeah.
But yet he doesn't have a movie that we're going to remember in 20 years. Whereas we will definitely remember, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 Arnold movies at least.
Well, he's not
You know?
dead yet. So
I know, and I'm hoping that they
neither
make
of
one.
them
And when I was watching this, I was like, this is actually not that bad of an idea for a movie. Like, this is like an okay idea. You know, they're trapped in a skyscraper, and he's
Right.
like an action hero. I don't know why he has a prosthetic leg, but maybe it's because they think that he's not human enough. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
like
that's
that
a possibility. He is
Yeah.
a gigantic man.
Well, and I think that's
Well,
maybe that's why this is such a cynical trailer, because they add things to, like, take away the Rock's rockness
Right.
and make him more of a regular guy. It's like,
Right.
well, he isn't. I mean, look at
Yeah,
him.
he's
just
The
not.
Rock.
He's not.
That guy works out for 3 hours a day just to stay what he is.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
like
You know?
his true underdog movie. And I guess they knew this for Schwarzenegger, because Schwarzenegger in the 90s was like an unstoppable man by 90s standards.
Fair enough.
That's why you have your kindergarten cops. Like, that's them at their lowest, at their most
Yes. Kindergarten Cop's a great movie.
underdogness. It's
Yeah.
like have them take care of kids. Unless, The Rock's probably great with kids.
Of course he is. He's great at
Of
everything.
course he is. Fucking
What's he
Rock.
not
I
good
mean,
at?
they did that movie. Or it's the game plan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Kindergarten Cop because
Where
that's
was
a
not-
great
where's,
movie.
Yeah, it
where
wasn't
where can you stick The Rock where he's the most out of his element? Like where he has to, like where you don't have to put a prosthetic like limb on him. Although,
Yeah.
I mean that doesn't seem
But
to
he
be
still
like
does
stopping
rock
him
things?
in
But
this
he's still the Rock. Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
That's tough. I don't know.
Cooking? Is he a good cook? Do we know?
Of course he's great at it. I don't even.
Yeah.
What do you smell what he's cooking? He's been saying it for
Oh
decades,
my
bro.
God! Damn it!
You
You're
walked
right.
into that.
Yeah. He's been cooking for years.
God, he's been
We've been
cooking for
smelling it this
years.
whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time, man. 20 years now.
Yeah.
We know what he's about.
I don't know what it is, but I suspect it's some version of trapped with children, where he's not allowed to use his brute strength
Yeah.
or his charm.
Yeah.
You know, he's not allowed to use either of those things. Because Arnold was not as charming, so Kindergarten Cop is
Right.
a better
Right,
concept
but that's what
for
makes
him.
it work.
Yeah.
Because he's like
He's not very
so
charismatic.
irritated with these children.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also is they have a really badly written idea for why he has a German accent in that movie, I'm pretty sure. Which is one of my favorite things about
Better
Arnold.
than-
I think
I mean,
they stopped. They eventually just stopped even trying to.
Yeah,
explain
that's
it.
amazing.
It was
that
not
they would
until
even do
after
it.
Junior, because I watched Junior for that After Hours episode, and they still had a reason in there, and I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And they eventually stopped trying to explain why he has a thick Austrian accent and his name is like John Kimball.
It's weird that the one series that really needed to explain it the most. John Kimball.
Detective John Kimball, and I love my cock.
Kindergarten Cop, every single line that he has in that movie out of context
So
makes me
good.
laugh. Every single, you just take a quote and it's fucking brilliant.
Oh,
Listen,
yeah.
Cleveland knows you'll heal. You could be healed any minute. It's like, just kills me. Every fucking one of them. He's like Emperor Palpatine, just no bad lines. Every line is so good.
Are these all your lunches? Why are you eating all the other kids' lunches? Stop it!
Stop it.
And the kid just spits, so he just drops the
Right.
kid.
They also
Oh,
found
it's so good.
Fucking
freak children.
perfect movie.
They found these freak children that just all of them are goblins.
Oh, yeah.
Where did they find any of
They
them?
found the worst children.
What a perfect film.
Yeah.
It really is a great movie. It really is. Anyway, The Rock does not have a Kindergarten Cop.
Okay.
Is my argument.
Yeah, well, you're right. He doesn't have a Terminator.
Right.
His Terminator is still the Scorpion King. It's the cheesy the Terminator. First Terminator is it's a great movie, but I'm sure when they were making it, they're like, yeah, we're just making the slasher movie with this bad guy. Let's make sure he doesn't talk much because his voice is ridiculous. It was thrown together. They shot it, guerrilla style on the street.
Right, but
The
Terminator
Scorpion
is
King.
infinitely more high concept.
Yes,
made
and it's
by
a way
much
better
more talented
movie.
person.
Yes.
It's a way better movie,
It's a
but
good marriage.
I want to say that the role of the Terminator is kind of a silly role. Like
But it
that's
isn't,
not a
though.
role
It matters.
Yeah, well, obviously it mattered. But
Terminator
like
is like a top 5
since
bad guy
when-
movies.
But like since when does like it's weird like
His presence matters.
yeah, you're right.
Like he doesn't
It's-
speak,
he's
but it's still
basically-
he's still
He's basically
acting.
Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, but there's no
Yes.
mask, so he has to be the iconic mask.
He well yeah.
So there's something very impressive
his
about
face is
that.
so hard lined.
Yeah.
He's got such strong, sharp features. You know, like
But this, I mean, I guess the comparison is that in the Scorpion King, and I mean the Mummy Returns. Sorry,
Scorpion King
I knew
and
what
the
you
Mummy
meant.
Returns.
no.
Yeah.
Well, the Scorpion King.
Is
I was
that
gonna say
he's-
that movie's bad.
Yeah, he's the villain in that. He
Correct.
doesn't talk much.
Right.
They didn't know how well he could act, so they didn't, give him much. He's just supposed to be this evil presence. The difference is that movie's garbage, and
Right,
Terminator
he
is
has
good.
2 lines in the very beginning, and then you don't see him again until the very end. He's
Right.
a CGI
The
construct.
lines weren't great either. They
Haku
were-
Machente.
They were real bad.
Yeah.
Haku
Why-
Machente.
Why do you both
really bad.
know the lines?
Because
it's
I was a rock
funny.
fan. I was a rock fan, man. Like I
Yeah.
was the guy watching him in WWF. I knew he could act
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'd seen Jericho's debut. That was an excellent piece of acting by The Rock.
Yeah.
All of you should go look it up. By the way, we're still doing that wrestling podcast, Dave. You think
Oh
I
yeah, we
forgot?
are.
I didn't
We just
fucking
gotta
forget. man.
find time for it.
That's happening. I'm
gonna
looking right
happen.
at your face
It's
right
gonna
now.
happen. So
Anyway.
yeah, I mean, this will probably be fine. We're gonna see it. It'll be
Yeah, we'll
enjoyable
watch it.
because it's the
Yeah, of
Rock and
course,
Die
yeah.
Hard. I don't think it's
not
gonna.
gonna not see it.
It's gonna be like. I don't know. It won't. I don't think it's gonna be. What you said, like
A seminal movie.
a seminal film.
No.
No.
But we also don't really make seminal action movies anymore. That's like the sad argument that I want to make is that that we're not making Die Hard right now, and by that I don't mean that we're not making the plot of Die Hard because this is that.
I think.
I mean we're not making movies that are unique and memorable in that genre right
John
now.
Wick.
John Wick is excellent.
John
Totally.
Wick. John Wick and the Raid. I think
I
those.
haven't watched the Raid.
Any
In the
Equalizer.
past, you got to watch
Okay,
the
I'll
Raid.
check it out.
Watch
Yeah.
the Raid and the Raid 2. You'll be blown away because the
Yeah.
action's really good and also the filmmaking's really
Okay,
good.
yeah, John Wick was way better than it should have been.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fair.
And the guys that made that movie are stunt coordinators. Like they're not
Not a surprise.
they're
to me.
not
Yeah.
filmmakers, but like I think the filmmaking in John Wick is pretty good in some parts.
I think part of being a stunt coordinator, you would know more than me, is that you sort of have to know
You
how
know
movies
camera.
are made. Yeah, you're because
The guy who
nature
made
of the
Snakes
job.
on a Plane was a stunt coordinator for
Yeah.
years and years. And someday I'll tell you about the lunch I had with him
Ooh.
because he died like 6 months after it.
Oh,
And
shit.
It was crazy. It was a really crazy lunch. Anyways.
Wow.
Stunt coordinators know more about camera than anybody who doesn't work in the camera department, and frankly, most directors.
Actually, that makes
Right.
sense.
But I would also argue that movie, John Wick, looks so good in part because it might be one of those situations where the DP's like, let me just
Sure.
I'll take camera and you
Could
take
be.
the stunt part.
And that
I'll
would be
make
the
that
sign of a good director if they're just
Yeah,
like, hey, make
sometimes.
this. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Was it the
We-
same DP in both films? Because I thought both films looked really good.
I don't know that.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you should have. Sorry.
no, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It is. They're very few and far between. But I think that's probably fine. Because like the Raid is 5 years ago.
The 80s had multiple memorable action movies that were seminal every year for like about 5 or 6 years there.
Oh, yeah.
Starting from like 84 to like 95.
right
like,
with
there
like
was a
Terminator, Aliens,
Commando, Aliens,
Commando.
just you know,
Yeah.
go down, Die
Top
Hard.
Gun,
movies are
Die
garbage.
Hard, Lethal
Movies are-
Weapon,
movies are-
Predator.
movies are more garbage than they're not garbage now. I think.
Correct.
In terms
making
of
so
bigger
much more of
movies.
them,
Yeah.
That might be why.
There wasn't multiple new releases every week back then. There was like one new release maybe
But,
every couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I would
That's
also
interesting.
argue that it's classic movies have always kind of slipped under the radar. Movies like Escape from New York and The Thing and John Carpenter films like didn't do that great when they first came out.
I also think those are debatable as classics, but I'll agree with you. But
Right.
I think
Blade Runner. Like
Totally.
Like it's that sort of thing. Like Annihilation just came out. I consider
what a
that
great
movie to
movie.
be a classic
Yeah.
movie in
It's
the
on
future.
Amazon right now. Go get it.
Yeah, but it's going to take a second. It's like
Totally.
yeah. It's going to take a second for people to go to film school and film professors to show it and people to, gain that.
I can't wait to watch that
Appreciation.
film again for the horror bear and just be like, get in there, babe.
Get in there, bear. I was thinking the same thing when that Winnie the Pooh trailer was coming out. I kept hearing that
Get in
line.
there, babe.
Get in there, bear. That's from a donkey video on Skyrim, for those of you who want to know why we keep saying that.
Right.
Because
man.
Donkey's voice is perfect. That man was made for that job.
And we've been really embellishing on it. But
I think we've just been telling the truth of
the
it.
truth, right? We're conveying our truth of the
Yes.
line.
Dave, you look like you want to move us on, man.
Yeah, the
I'm just scrolling through.
trailer, the last trailer we had to talk about is the remake of, last movie trailer is the remake of Papillon.
I didn't know that was a remake.
Yeah. I don't care about this movie. Like, I'm sure it's
liked it.
good.
Yeah.
The trailer looks good.
Looks
it's
like
just,
it could be good.
It's The Rock. The movie The Rock.
Yeah, it's like a gritty The Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Set in a different time period,
Yeah.
so instead of there being VX gas, there's just vaudeville's psychotic breakdown effect.
But they're actually breaking out a person, right? In The
Yeah,
Rock,
it's
they're
The
breaking in.
But it's the same concept.
No,
They're breaking
You
in,
can't
Adam.
get in or out of this one island thing. It's like, come on.
Right. I mean, the original was Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty chill movie. But
I haven't seen it. Okay.
yeah, it was written by Bryan Cranston. Trumbo.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's one of the films he wrote. Yeah.
That's pretty chill.
I
got to say,
All right,
what's
I'll
the name
accept
of
it.
Is it Rami Malek?
Rami Malek. Yeah.
Rami Malek.
I'm probably mispronouncing it, but
Okay, well, that's
But yeah,
why
Mr. Robot.
I let you go. That
Dude
guy
from Mr. Robot.
is so cool
yeah.
in movies. And I say that, I don't know if I care about his part or this movie. I'm not sure. But I do know every time he's on screen, I'm just like fascinated by him.
He's
he
good.
just has that thing that makes
He's
me want
good.
to look at him.
I guess I'll give
you
this
know?
trailer another go. I kind of got bored during the trailer.
What do you think?
It might be that I don't like prison escape movies. Maybe I've never been thrilled. Only when they're breaking into him.
The Rock was the only movie you liked.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it was about it. Is that it just
It's hard to hype you on a thing you know you've already seen. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, I don't know. I'm into period movies.
That might be it. It's
I
a
like-
period movie,
it is
and
a
I
period
do
movie.
not like period movies.
I only like period movies when they matter.
You don't like period movies about prison.
I tend to not like period movies in general.
So you don't like Shutter
and
Island?
Shawshank Redemption.
I like Shutter Island, but that didn't
Oh.
feel like a period movie. It feels just like a horror movie. Like,
We can't move forward until I hear your opinion on Shawshank Redemption.
oh, it's a great film.
you
It's
go.
Shawshank.
Yeah, it's
you guys,
from
it's
Shawshank.
Shawshank Redemption.
Your
But
cat
it's
was
a-
about to eat your face.
Yeah.
It was
So yeah,
poised
it's
there.
not that it's Yeah, that's a period
prison.
prison escape.
It's the most.
I don't
of
know.
both.
I'm not saying this movie's going to be bad. All I know is that this movie didn't speak to me. Like the trailer
true.
didn't
Yeah, that's fair.
do anything.
That's fair.
And now I'm like sitting here trying to figure out why. But maybe
There's literally
it's just
nothing
that,
wrong with the trailer of this movie because I watched it and
Yeah.
I felt the same way, and I was like, "Why don't I care about this?"
I
And I
just
think
got
it's
bored.
just you can't care about something that you've already seen if you don't love that thing.
Yeah.
Right, and it seemed like a more traditional drama trailer where
Yeah.
it's just hitting all the drama beats. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Rami Malek. I really think Charlie Hunnam is a bad actor.
I don't have an opinion on him.
But it might be because most of the things I've seen him in, he's sort of forced to do an American accent that he's not great at.
Ooh.
So it really kind of fucks a lot of his lines.
Yeah.
Is he Australian?
He's British, I
What are,
think.
what are
'Cause,
the
like,
things?
that's
what are
like-
the
like-
things he's in?
Well, he was in.
I have no tolerance for an Australian person who cannot do an American accent. I know that's ridiculous. I'll tell you why. They're taking all the jobs. The Australian
Yeah, that's
actors
true.
taking all the American jobs. Well, then you got to do an American accent. That's like the minimum requirement, bro.
Yeah.
Just giving it to you.
No, he was on Undeclared, that Judd Apatow's follow-up show to Freaks and Geeks
No. Didn't
with
see that.
Jay Baruchel. And,
Didn't see it.
I don't.
but they let him be British in that, and it didn't make any sense.
Huh.
It's like, oh, here's this British kid going to an American college.
I don't think. Yeah.
Like it
I
was.
guess I'm not that hard on
It was more out of
that.
place for him to be British in that than for him to be British in Pacific Rim. And they were like, no, you've got to
Pacific
do an
Rim.
American voice. Like, why? The fuck does this matter?
When people get really upset about accents, because I don't super care about accents that much, unless they are
Unless
a
it's really
loud scream in the movie. You
Unless
know,
it's
like,
really noticeable. I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
his American accent is very badly noticeable. So
Yeah,
it's like,
I have
to
stop
watch this.
making him do it. Just let him speak like he normally speaks. I want to get a read on this guy. Because I'm fairly certain, I haven't watched a single episode, fairly certain he's not British in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, that's what he's. That's what I've seen him. Okay, because I haven't seen anything you said except for I think I saw Pacific Rim, but it was a long time ago. I don't know that this is true, but I like to imagine this. I think like it depends on the director with the accent thing, because an accent being good enough is ultimately one man or woman's decision. That's the director. And
Yeah.
by that I mean they're on set and they're hearing the thing and they're like, I believe that or I don't.
We always go around to this, and I always remember right before I bring it up, but we always come back around to Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yes, I was about to bring it up.
They had to fucking tell Costner after
I would-
filming some to be like, you know what? The accent's not working.
I would pay any
But
amount of money.
They still have Christian Slater there doing that voice.
Yeah.
I don't think you know all the dirt about that.
I know,
would-
but I always
yeah.
remember that you know the guy,
Yeah.
right?
And I can't tell you all of it. 'cause
Right.
I would
totally
pay
confident.
any amount of money to see the version of the movie
Where
with
he's
Kevin
still
Costner's doing the British accent.
I will say to that film's credit, and it may also have been because I was 8 years old when I saw it for the first time.
Hooey.
I never noticed it. Like, it didn't take me out of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't expect Kevin Costner to be doing a British
Yeah,
voice.
no one
Robin Hood,
expects
Prince
that
of
of Kevin
Thieves
Costner.
was every 10-year-old child's dream come true.
I love
We
that
didn't,
movie.
like-
And it's a bad movie.
It's
Yeah.
not a very good movie. It's all of our dreams come true because at that time it was like you couldn't have imagined a more fun way that like people could spend 3 hours than like that movie.
Than Robin Hood,
So
yeah.
it didn't matter
Pretty
that
rad.
the sheriff of Nottingham was completely bananas and spent
That's-
most
Yeah.
of the movie trying to rape Maid Marian. Like
That's
Was
that's
that-
a long period
Act
of that
three.
movie. It goes on forever. It
Yeah.
goes on
It does.
And like
I remember, though, as a kid, though, that was like one of the things I liked so much about that movie, because I already knew who he was from
Right.
Die Hard.
Right.
But it was like, I was like, oh, he's great. Like, all of his lines are great. And it's like, as I got older, I realized, oh, he's just straight up doing a comedy.
correct.
Like,
Yeah.
Like and it will please you to know that none of that was written, that he insisted on it.
I read that, yeah.
Yes,
that he
and
was
it
like,
was-
I will do this film,
Right.
but I get to do it the way I want to do it, and you can't say anything about it.
Because I was in Die Hard.
Right.
So they have to live with that bullshit.
It just goes broadly. That's the only reason anybody remembers that movie, though. To his
well,
credit.
they remember the Arrow Cam.
That's true. Aerocam was pretty dope.
And they
Yeah.
remember Kevin Costner's bad accent.
Sure. His amazing hair.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, his hair. Oh,
His early 90s mullet.
it was magnificent. Yeah, it just kept
By way of-
cascading off of his neck.
by way of 16th century England.
I shouldn't laugh that hard.
Oh, what a
Anyway, I don't know how we
film.
got off on Robin Hood,
What
Prince of
a
Thieves.
film.
I don't know.
It's
Doesn't it have
Charlie-
that?
Charlie
it has
Hunnam.
that Bryan Adams song too,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, everybody.
Everything I do.
Yeah, that was
They incorporated it
that
in the
melted
score.
hearts for decades.
It did,
that
man.
was
Yeah.
That was the song until the Titanic song, Dave.
Were-
There were
were
no
they-
other songs.
Right, you're
Were they
right.
Those
both-
were the two.
Were they
You're
both
right.
James Horner? I gotta look at this.
Oh boy, I don't know.
What a
Who did the-
ridiculous fucking movie.
Because the music in
Was that
Robin is
also-
pretty good.
I think this is
actually.
why this matters. I'm going to bring it back. I
Oh.
think that we have this like we remember movies like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves because they happened to us at the time where we could not care about things being bad. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Oh, I was not yet aware that films could be bad.
right, and now it's almost impossible to look at
Right.
any of these remakes
Well,
or
that's-
anything and not see the flaws.
That's
you
of
know?
course the question: is are
Right.
films getting worse or are we getting older?
both things are true.
It's Michael
That's what
Caine.
I think too. I think both things are true.
Michael Caine.
Michael Kamen, who also did the music for Die Hard, unless I'm mistaken.
I would say people get too intense about movies now. Like that's
what movies want us to
I
do.
like having a young niece and nephew because they've sort of grounded me a little bit. Because it's things where I'm like, man, the new Ninja Turtles are fucking terrifying. Why would they make that? What a mistake. And then my nephew, who's like 7, is like, I think they're neat. And it's like, okay, never mind. I'm
Right.
wrong. Like they're
And you
the-
forget that He-Man was one of the most popular cartoons,
Yeah.
and that thing is full of
And again,
ghouls
you,
and goblins.
Yeah, you go
like-
back and look at the fucking Don Bluth's movies, and
Right.
it's just like, oh, okay, that we've always been making terrifying shit for kids, and we just somehow get away with it.
because
like-
kids can take it. They'll be
Yeah,
okay.
there are certain things that are just getting older, but it definitely feels like
I saw American Tail in a theater in like fucking like Berlin or some fucking place in Germany. Not Berlin, but like
That's the saddest movie I remember watching, other than All Dogs Go to Heaven when I was a child.
yeah.
Those
oh,
two
for me
movies
it's
are-
Land Before
Time
Time.
Before Time fucked me up real bad.
I remember that.
But there's
love
the
that
sadness in American Tail, and there's
Oh,
also
boy.
that movie is fucking frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Like, I saw that movie. I was like, holy shit! That was again Spielberg produced it. All part of his 80s
Fucking
mission
jerks,
to
yeah.
fucking scare children.
Yeah. He's the ultimate horror director,
Yeah.
but for a certain age.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, but people are going to be looking back at like Infinity Wars and being like, I can't believe I saw that as a kid.
Oh,
This
when
is
it hit
fucking crazy.
when it hit the Nebula torture scene, I was like, this isn't for children.
Yeah, but it is. Children are going to be watching it, and then they're
you
going
still
to
haven't
think
seen
back
it,
and be
right?
like,
Oh, no,
I
you did
have
see
seen
it.
it.
Abe hasn't
I
seen
have
it.
seen
and
That's
it's
right.
the same with it's.
I think that movie. I think that movie is. It seems rough for kids. It's not that rough though.
No, that's true.
Like, and I also that's not a movie that I think is a bad one for history to look back on and ask what it meant for the time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know there's like a little off topic, but like at least Infinity War is something new in cinema in that it's a movie that dares to be a culmination to 100 movies.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that before.
That's true. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, what
I
Marvel
don't
is
like
doing,
that, but I
what-
think it's a cool idea, and they did it.
If Marvel was the only people doing what Marvel is doing, the
Yes.
cinematic universe stuff, I feel like I would be way more tolerant of it.
Correct.
The only
Because I'd
people
be
that are
like,
doing
this
it
isn't a
successfully. There's a lot of
Yes.
people who are trying.
Agreed.
Yes, and that's what makes me like, because the Marvel is they've set the tone, and the problem is what Marvel does I don't think works for most movies, which is it's low stakes.
Yeah.
You know, you don't care about, you never feel like characters are in danger. It's just, you know, it's like one long TV show, and it is, what they're doing is unique and really cool. It's just the fact that everybody's now trying to do it, and it's the Marvel fatigue, what everybody says. It's
Sure.
like, it's not the films that are the problem. It's
If they had the
what
balls
they're
to
creating.
stick with the deaths that they created at the end of that movie, and I'm not going to say which one,
yeah.
but if they had the balls to do that,
They're not gonna.
of course not. And like, spoiler, the fucking comic tells you that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But like, if they did, I think that would be one of the coolest things that's ever happened in movies.
Yeah.
And then just like did it for 10 years, like, hey man, that movie mattered.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
suddenly everything they've ever done would matter.
Yeah.
That's like it. That's what's at stake there.
Here's the one thing.
I got to move us on before it's
sorry,
much
yeah.
longer. What were you
I
about to say?
apologize.
I was gonna say there's one thing about Marvel that I'm very curious about, and it's going back to my nephew, who is not quite old enough to see them.
Okay.
And here's the question, and I know Marvel's going to sort of change gears soon after Phase 3, but when my nephew gets old enough to see them, I'm excited about that idea of like, oh, I get to show you them. Do I have to go back 10 years and be
Longer
like,
than that.
okay, he's not going to do that. He's going to just watch whatever the latest thing is, and there's going to be a weird experience, I think, of a lot of kids, a lot of people growing up, where they're going to just start watching Marvel movies, and then at some point in their life, they're going to go back and have to watch like 30 films and be like, holy shit, like this is all, it's like the James Bond movies, if the James Bond movies were in like
One continuity.
They'll fix that.
That's a fucking,
I think they'll fix that problem.
it's tough. It's going to be tough.
Not,
I mean,
not
it's,
that
it's,
tough.
it's as tough as selling comic books to kids.
Yeah,
Because you're
okay.
jumping into a storyline that has 300 issues in 25 years.
Oh, that's
before
true.
it.
And then you just go back and
As long as you're aware of the character, you'll fill in the gaps as you
Okay.
go.
Which, God knows, there's no person growing up in America right now that doesn't know who
I mean,
Spider-Man is.
they've
or,
always
like-
been good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember when I first learned about Spider-Man or Batman
I
or
don't
James
either.
Bond or Star
Yeah, that's
Wars.
true.
Like, I don't remember the first being introduced to any of these characters.
I guess just as a movie person,
Yeah.
like
That sucks.
it's
I
not.
agree.
Yeah, it's a task.
But also, how many people have watched Casablanca? Not that many.
Yeah.
Like, and Casablanca is like where most good movies started. Like, that fucking movie is so seminal.
That's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Fantastic, and
It's
it's
not
where all like the love stories, everything, like they all go back to that movie. It's a prime, but like most people haven't seen it, and they don't know that it's all derivative from that.
Yeah.
And okay, all right, what are you gonna do?
Let's
move on.
Let's
Sorry.
move us on. That's Papillon.
That's Papillon. We got
Alright, now we
through
got the
Infinity War and
Right.
Casablanca.
Fucking Robin Hood got in there too.
Yeah,
Fucking Prince of Thieves. Fallout 76.
Yeah,
sure.
That's apparently a survival RPG you wrote.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
I think it means that it's gonna be Elder Scrolls Online,
Okay,
but for
it
Fallout.
sounds like I might like it better than I like Fallout, because I don't like Fallout.
Oh,
I'm not a fan of Fallout.
any of them? You've never liked a Fallout?
I've never given them that much of a chance, to be honest.
How many have you played?
Maybe two, the
Okay.
last two. And I don't like I like first person shooters, and I like the look of it. And then I hated the moment I'd get into combat, and I'd be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this just slows down.
Because
It's
not
like
really a first-person shooter.
Exactly,
Not really.
and it tricked me. It tricked me.
You don't have to use the VATS, by the way.
Yeah,
You
but
just-
when you don't, I don't know. Something
But it's
about it
harder to
doesn't.
play.
Yeah,
And less fun to play.
yeah.
Right, it's great when you can do VATS on somebody's face, and then it just and the eyeballs
See, it was
go everywhere.
it really bothered me
Perfect.
because
I mean, yeah.
in a first person
10 out
shooter,
of 10.
in a first person shooter, you just aim and you shoot the person. And this one, it was just like, okay, now you have to pick a limb, and like do all this stuff, and then you'd shoot, and they'd be like, "Sorry, it didn't work out." And it's like, well, just let me shoot at them. Like,
but they're not gonna.
It would work out if you just let me do it. You fucking game.
So
I just never. The last Fallout, I never got past. Like, I never got more than like a couple hours into that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was just like.
I don't remember because I didn't play Fallout 3 as much, but I played the hell out of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
They might have gotten better about that in Fallout 4 because I only use VATS half the time in Fallout 4 depending on what I'm doing, because I like to be a sneak thief in all my games. So I'm sneaking up behind people and hitting them with like the Deathbringer claw weapon that you get to make.
As you should. Yeah.
And you don't need to do VATS for that.
Right.
I have all my stealth perks and backstabbing all the way up, so I hit them with that claw and they explode, and it's great. But then when you use the sniper rifles, a lot of the times, in my experience playing that game, it's like you don't. Like VATS sometimes will decrease. Like it'll be like, you had a 66% chance of hitting him in the head with this. I'm like, I feel like I can just hit him.
Yeah, exactly. And that bugged me.
So Mike and I know we're gonna cover Fallout 4 in the next. I know we're gonna record an episode very soon about Fallout 4 because of this news.
Sure.
And so I don't want to say everything here because I think people want to.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting about this is that why do we need more Fallout?
Why not?
Well, I think there's good reasons why not. What else is there to say in this universe is the question I have that necessitates a game that is ultimately before everything that we've all done in Fallout, which is what this is. This is set 20 years after.
Yeah.
So every Fallout game is functionally a what's the best society game, and you build it, and you ultimately decide what it is.
Yeah.
And this game posits that whatever you build is not going to matter. It's the prequel problem, right? So why do I want it?
If it's a radically different style of game, that could be interesting.
But it can't be that radically different because then people will be mad that it's not Fallout.
I think that people will be mad because I think it's.
Yeah.
I think it's. There's this new. I think it's going to be a Fortnite situation.
That's what they want to be.
I think it's a base building survival multiplayer, which says to me it's a battle royale game, which is apparently what everybody's doing.
Yeah, they're adding it into every game now.
Right.
I mean, its main mode will be Fortnite, and its multiplayer mode will be Fortnite.
Yeah, and I think
you just didn't realize we were going to get mobile games on consoles too.
Yes,
that's what
I was about
Fortnite
to
is.
say. Yeah, I am.
Fortnite's so much fun.
You asking what's the point?
mobile
Like
game.
I'm rubbing my thumb against my fingers in a way in which I am feeling money. Like that's the point. This is feeling money. That's the feeling money.
That's not what it looks
I
like.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're feeling money.
It's weird. It looks like.
I'm gonna do it
so
slower now.
slow. I
Yeah,
don't
it
understand
looks
what
like
you're doing.
it looks like you're fingering.
You have
a
to do it
ghost.
fast. What is the purpose of this hand motion? Like, why did we
You're
invent
doing
it?
summoning
Now,
cattle.
well, now you're literally fingering a ghost. Like
Yeah.
this is the money thing.
Right, and you do it like,
Yeah.
like
But
there's
what
a
does that
cackle
mean?
involved.
Who's doing that? Who's holding up money and going,
Mr. Moneybags,
Mr. Uncle Penny.
Uncle
Robber.
Pennyhaver.
Anyway,
Penny Bearer.
but yeah, like I feel like it's just part of that. It's exactly what you said. Is that it's
The
mobile
shameless cash grab.
games?
Sure,
Yeah,
it's them throwing their hat into. I mean, Bethesda doesn't do multiplayer really outside of. I mean, Elder Scrolls is really their first big one, I think. Or
Yeah.
only one.
I've
really.
never played that game. Did you like it? Have you played it?
Elder Scrolls Online. I've played it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
I have a friend who's like literally lost his life to that game.
It's very Skyrim.
Yeah.
I could see getting into it, but it's like when you get into getting into an MMO is hard because especially when it's been out for a while because there's so much
work
to the
get
game.
There. Yep.
Like the only MMO I was into was Marvel Heroes because I was into that from Jump Street. So like I knew everything about the game, and like when new people would join, I'd be like, they would ask me, "Oh, how do you do this thing?" And in my mind, that's a relatively simple thing to know how to do. So I'd be like, "Oh, you just do X, Y, and Z," and they don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Right.
But it's like every MMO has that problem because there's like years and years and years of updates and changes of how the systems work, and if you're in there, then you know it all about that stuff.
Right.
But it's hard to come into the game and have the game in its tutorial mission explain to you like years and years of new systems and mechanics and how all that works, especially if you're not familiar with MMO mechanics to begin with.
Sure. It's like playing Super Mario Brothers and then jumping right to Super Mario Odyssey.
Yes.
Because like that's an evolution, and that's a mini game evolution, as is that. So like I maintain that I'm not sure that I think that if they choose to make a game that's not story-centric for Fallout, then they don't understand what makes Fallout cool. Because it isn't the place. The place is cool, but the place is only cool because they have a really interesting narrative, and they're always trying to tell an interesting narrative. And they're using a science fiction premise that sometimes looks like garbage to tell that story. And if this sounds like they're just going to not have the story, and it's like, well, then fuck that.
Going to be just one of their...
That's one of the things.
Side or in between games that they do. It's not going to be one of their big flagship games. Like, hey, we're going to put this thing out. Obviously, it's way too soon for a new Fallout.
Of course it is.
We just had Fallout 4
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Or not
well,
that,
this is
that,
like
that
Metal Gear game that came out.
Right.
Like, I'm assuming it's like that. It's them being like,
this is our game.
Like, yeah.
Well, they're going to be in... I mean, sure, but again, Fallout is a precious commodity, and when you release a game like this... you dilute that commodity. Maybe that's worth it to them. You know, but, like, that's what they're doing.
No, you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, they're testing the water.
I mean, they're going to make money. They're not stupid. They know
I don't know.
This
Unless
is
it's bad.
We're definitely seeing...
Doesn't matter. They're going to make money. For sure.
Yeah. We're definitely seeing a shift here. Because,
Yes.
and then I think of the new Call of Duty that's going to have no campaign mode. And so it's games used to sort of want to tell stories...
I think they're going to have...
and now they'll still have those every now and then.
Well, it's cyclical. Because there were a few years ago, maybe 10-ish years ago or something, there was a lot of games that were multiplayer only.
There's like Counter-Strike, which is like...
And like all the Battlefront games didn't have a single player. Like a lot of things didn't have a single player mode, and that became like a big selling point for some games. Like, we have a single player campaign. Like the last Star Wars Battlefront 2, that was a big selling point. It's like, we have a campaign in this one.
Right.
And it was really fun. I enjoyed that
It was the best part of that game.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy that game. But... I think the reason we all react with this, it's going to be bad now, is because so many other things are becoming franchises like this. Like Solo, the movie Solo that just came out.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I kind of want less. Yeah,
I need less. I don't need a Star Wars movie every year.
Yeah, it just... Everybody calm the fuck down. Like, stop churning everything out all the time as much as possible.
Batshit opinion piece in, I think, Washington Post, where like, does Star Wars need to add a sex scene? Is that what needs to happen for Star Wars to get back on track? It's like, no.
How would that fix it?
I don't know. They're like, what do we need to add to make the like?
They're like, why isn't people going to see this Solo movie? Why is Star Wars so stale? It's like because we
already know how the movie
them.
ends. No, because we know how the movie ends.
Yeah.
That's the problem. A Solo movie could never be interesting when I already met him, when the events of this are over.
The events of this film,
it doesn't fucking matter.
Why I still haven't seen Rogue One. It's
Come
like,
on.
I don't care.
Like, The Hobbit was a book that was released before Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that was
if it came out after, nobody give a fuck.
Yeah, that was a real
Right.
dumb move.
Yeah.
And it's weird that they didn't realize it. It's weird that they thought we would be just as excited for The Hobbit as we would be for Lord of the Rings. Like, that's not hard. It's
Even
not hard
the
to figure
director
this
didn't
out.
want to do it.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to do that.
Oh, you can tell.
That's a really bad.
Those are
those
very
three
bad films.
Movies are awful. Yeah, really bad.
It's so bizarre within 10 years to go from Lord of the Rings to really good and then go to The Hobbit. Like, this is trash.
Just not enough source material to justify 3 movies is the problem there.
There's a lot of
Peter
problems.
Jackson really loves the source material, and he executes it really faithfully and well, but when there isn't, he fills it with silliness because that's what he likes.
Isn't he going to do isn't he choosing between doing like a superhero movie and a Lord of the Rings TV show right now?
He's doing the Lord of the Rings TV show.
He decided finally.
Well,
Amazon's
Amazon's
he was
doing
choosing.
it. I'm not sure if Peter Jackson's
I heard
involved.
that he was choosing between getting involved with a new DC film or Lord of the Rings. So I'm imagining it's Amazon and Warner Brothers just like throwing like pillowcases full of cash at him, like, no, do ours, please do ours. And he must be the most depressed person ever right now. Can you imagine having to choose between those two things of just like do the thing you've been known for doing your whole life or do a fucking depressing DC movie? Like, I know, I mean, that just sounds like
There's
I mean,
not enough
he's
words to describe Dave's sadness right now.
So Fallout 76.
Right.
That's just such a bummer, you guys. Anyway, we should move on.
Okay, so they're making a new Spawn movie at Blumhouse, and Jamie Foxx is going to play Spawn.
I just want to say that if you didn't hear the 20 minutes of Dave sighing, that they did some real editing in this podcast. Dave
I'm leaving
sighed
all
for
this
20
in.
minutes.
I'm just getting
I don't cut
beaten
shit out
down.
unless I have to.
Fucking Spawn, sure.
Yeah, why not?
I'm not connected to Spawn. Tell me
I
why
want-
I care about that.
I want the CGI to be exactly the same. as
Right.
the
I don't know. I mean,
original.
it was a 90s comic.
I remember that.
Todd McFarlane went off and made it, and I think it was the beginning of Image.
I don't like the way that he described why he needed Jamie Foxx in that
didn't-
article.
What did he say?
He was like, I mean, he was trying to be politically correct and describe the need for it, but he basically said, look, there's like 5 or 6 moments in this movie where having a good actor is going to matter. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, that's not what I want to hear.
That's
like,
such a bummer.
yeah, I don't want to hear that.
They're like, we're gonna need an actual actor for this
right.
one.
There's like 5 or 6 moments where it'll like Jamie Foxx's existence will impact this movie, and you're like, fuck that. Who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just don't have those moments then.
It's a
or
weird
whatever.
thing to
well,
say.
I also just don't like the. Yeah,
Or
I don't
mean,
like
let 'em
that
do it.
policy of like that implies that there's other movies where they're like, yeah, we don't need people to try that hard for this one. Like,
Well, you
it's
don't
just-
for a lot of superhero movies because they're covered up and it's a stunt double or a stand-in half the time.
oh yeah, that's a good point.
And
Yeah,
Spawn himself, I mean, because it's kind of like a Deadpool situation where you take his mask off and he looks like a fucking raisin.
Right.
Like he's a decomposing corpse.
My understanding is that like, according to this article, there's going to be very little dialogue in this movie.
sure.
Like, Spawn's just going to do shit. That's the selling point that Todd McFarlane was making.
Wasn't
He's not
there,
going to talk about it. He's just going to do stuff.
Wasn't there a Spawn
Sure, okay.
cartoon?
There was three seasons on HBO.
Yeah, I'm picturing like that style. Then I'm picturing like kind of this like super dark, kind of quiet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can
But
I
very
can see it.
like
see
moody and
it.
very dialogue driven is that cartoon.
Really?
Yeah.
But
Spawn-
I can. Yeah.
Spawn just seems like the most 90s thing.
It is very
ever.
90s.
Yeah, that's-
it is incredibly 90s.
Yeah.
The Spawn movie is one of those movies that I didn't watch for a very long time. I saw as a kid, and then in my head, I just always thought that movie had great CGI. Like that was just in my head because I saw it once as a kid in the '90s and was like, "The CGI is great." Until like I was like nearing 30, and I
We
finally
watched
was
it like
like,
2 years ago. Yeah.
"Okay," and I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna watch that again."
We all watched it
with
together
its great
as a
CGI,
family.
and then it's like, "Oh man."
If
Kate-
if this podcast didn't include the 20 minutes of me sighing right now, then Tom has edited that as well. He's really robbing you of the true experience here.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's very 90s. Todd McFarlane's been threatening to make this movie for like the last 10 years. So I'm honestly surprised at this announcement. Like, oh, you've secured like an actual star.
I was
like,
surprised.
This will happen now.
To hear it's his directorial debut.
He has never directed anything.
Yeah, I don't like that. Because I mean, I'm all for people getting a shot at it. It's not that. It's that this guy has had control over this property for this amount of time, and now at whatever age he is, not that young.
He's got to be in his 50s.
75.
Fair enough. He doesn't look much older than in his 50s. He's gonna make a movie for the first time with an A-list star, and that just seems like, man, just trust somebody who's pro to do this.
This
You
could
know,
be a
like-
disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they're not. Like, Sin
This
City
could-
was a good example of it
Yeah.
not being a disaster,
But-
but also Robert Rodriguez was there.
Yeah.
You know?
This could be like the Crow movie, which is once again lost its main actor and its main director.
Oh, yeah. Jason Momoa.
yeah,
exited the
where
Crow
that's
remake.
I don't know what's
Good
going
move
on. There's-
Jason Momoa's part.
I
Don't
feel like-
remake that movie.
Yeah, but they've been trying to
Why
make
would you
it remake it for like 10 years, and I feel like there's like one like nightmare producer attached, or something's happening that every time they try to do it, it just falls apart.
Or there's just the person who's attached is not competent.
Right. Or they get through pre-production, stop, and they all go, "Wait, why are we doing this?"
Wait, what are
and
we
they
doing?
just stop.
Like they all snap out of the
And then
fugue they've
and
been
then
in
a
for the
year
past several
later,
months.
someone picks it up again.
Yeah. And the curse passes on to
Yeah.
somebody else.
Have you seen that Aronofsky movie Mother?
No.
Not yet. I need to.
Oh, okay. I won't say more. I won't.
Is
do
it a
this joke
Crow
then.
remake?
Is it a Crow
No,
remake?
it's not a Crow remake.
It's a Loki
but
Crow
it's
remake?
I won't say more. 'Cause
Okay.
It's a real
I
high
really
art
wanna see
joke,
it.
Dave.
I
I don't
wanna
want to
see
spoil it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But rest assured, it was great.
Yeah.
Write it down so that we can look at it later after we watch Mother.
I can't recommend Mother, actually.
I'm still going to watch the shit.
You
out of it.
should. I just thought it was boring, but I'll be interested to see if you agree.
I like boring.
Yeah, sometimes I do
I like
too.
boring movies.
Sometimes I like that too.
Dave, you added a link in here. Netflix is making a comic book about magicians.
Yeah.
Netflix is making comic books.
I don't know why.
Weird.
It's about magicians getting murdered, so that sounds
Oh,
fun.
sure. Yeah. If it's like a murder mystery about magicians and like they need to get to the bottom of who's killing these magicians.
Yeah.
Are we? Yeah.
I am into
is
that.
Netflix is Netflix actually the rival for Disney? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I mean, Netflix is...
Like, because we need somebody to stand up to Disney and duke it out, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and
we
I
do
think
need
Netflix
that.
needs to do that until they get bought by Disney, inevitably.
It's not that I think Disney is bad. I just think competition's
Well,
good
it's just
for
that Disney...
film.
Yeah, Disney has too much. It's too much. It's way too much. They're doing a good job at, like, buying these things and being like, you do you. We're not gonna tell you how to do it. But at that point, it's just like, well, then, I don't know, don't own all these things, you fucking maniacs.
They want to make money. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I like the crossover potentials.
I think
of
we're in
Disney
an era
buying
where
a bunch of things.
we're tired of everything cool being owned by 5 people.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe that's
Right.
like,
and that's
the way to
that's
summarize our
every
times.
product.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
like
it's
you
every
go to a
industry, it's
grocery
everything.
store and you're
Yeah.
seeing 5 companies. You
Right.
know, yeah. So I like the idea of Netflix branching out. Don't know why they're doing comics. It's
a
like they're
weird
doing the
direction
opposite
for
of
them to go in.
yeah. It's like they're doing the opposite of what Marvel did. Starting with comics and going into films, like Netflix, like, well, we're gonna go to comics. Fuck it.
You kind of wonder if the point of this is to create source material at a lower cost that they
Oh
can
my
then adapt.
That's
You know what I mean? To sort of incept
Yeah,
themselves.
that's precisely what it is.
that is precisely what it is. Oh shit.
It's really dark, right?
Yeah.
Because just make it. Just make the show
Yeah,
you
just
want to
Make the
make.
show, yeah. Don't
Just
Yeah.
have some courage and make it.
Yeah.
You're Netflix. You have a lot of courage as a studio.
Yeah,
You know.
you can throw all kinds of money around.
Well, and you
I
try stuff.
That's
I love
true,
that
yeah.
about Netflix. You know.
they
Net-
do have all kinds of things.
Netflix is one of those companies, though, that I wonder if one day they're just going to come out and be like, so we ran out of money, so it's all gone. And, like, we'll get these books of people like, yeah, it was fucking chaos behind the scenes.
That's definitely possible.
They
That
had a
is,
petting zoo with giraffes. Like, they didn't know what the fuck they
Right.
were doing.
It's Wolf of Wall Street over there.
Yeah, exactly. It's madness. And it very well might be.
Right. They have all the remaining Quaaludes in the world.
Yeah.
Just
Right,
all
yeah,
of them
they've
are over
been
there.
keeping them
Yeah.
from the rest of us. They're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Okay.
No, they aren't.
James Marsden is
That's
in it.
not going to happen.
I mean, it's
I see that it says it's going to happen, but it will not happen.
it's not live action, is it?
It's a mix between
It's a
live
mix.
action.
Oh,
of live
okay.
action,
I'm
Dave.
picturing it now. It's like Peter Rabbit or Alvin and the Chipmunks.
You know what
Sure.
it is, Dave? An abomination.
I want
Like,
all
You have
live action.
strong opinions about
That's
Sonic
a
the Hedgehog.
fucking garbage movie. That movie should not exist. I don't care what it's about. I don't care why it's about. Nope. That movie should not exist.
I mean,
Why
there's-
is such a hard line?
There's
Because
no way
how
that
could it
movie could be good.
Exactly. How could it be good?
No, there's no way
I
it's
don't
gonna
think
be
they should
good.
make Mario into a movie either. This is not Nintendo fanboyism. This is
Yeah.
that's a bad idea.
Well, see,
Don't
like
do
if,
it.
if the thing that happens with Mario, where it's like the Blue Sky, the animation studio makes like an animated Mario Brothers movie, I'll watch that.
Again,
But like,
they haven't
man,
earned the right to make.
I want
Mario
another
movie.
live
I'm just
action
gonna tell you
Mario
right now.
Brothers.
Sorry,
there's no story there.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem.
I want another live action. I want a live action Sonic. I want a live action because here's all right.
You
here's
don't
why.
want anything.
Here's
you
why.
have lies behind your eyes right now.
It's a chance to make some of the greatest surrealist
buzzard.
cinema known to man. Like if you go back and watch the original Mario Brothers, all right, it's a bad movie, but imagine if it was a good movie. Imagine if they got like David Lynch to make it.
This is the first time I've seen your soul is only darkness. This is the first time I've ever seen it, Dave.
No, imagine if David Lynch made a Mario movie.
We know the story.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, or
the story behind Mario
or a
was
Sonic.
those two were trying to make an R-rated Max Headroom film,
Yeah, and
then-
it went out of control.
and then modified it to be the Mario.
One
movie,
day they woke
which is
up
why
making
it's
a
totally
Mario
insane
movie.
and doesn't have anything to do with Mario.
well,
Is that why the
it has
Goombas
like
are shrunken headmen and in suits.
they literally
Yeah, and
did, like,
everything
was
is
that?
like booger cocoons.
Oh, boy.
And it's like a tech
So
noir
good.
city underground. It's
But
because they
that-
wanted to make Max Headroom.
Oh,
that
boy.
movie has given us a lot. Like it's given us more than it
Name
should have.
3 things that the Mario Brothers movie.
Why
has
would you
given
say
us.
that?
I
He's
don't-
going to. He has this ready.
No,
Look at him. He has a speech ready.
I'll
Go ahead.
name one thing. It
No, you
gave
name
us
3.
the Mario Brothers movie. Gave us some wonderful moments,
That was some
some
chicken
wonderful
shit answer.
memories. Well, Bob Hoskins doing that fucking
Everything
accent.
you're saying, everything
John
that's falling out of your
Leguizamo.
head right now is bullshit.
It's such a beautiful disaster.
You've gone over to
It
Trump
is a-
land.
it is
It's
a
given
huge-
us
You're way over
episodes
there
of
now.
riff tracks and how did this get made.
It is
like
a huge disaster.
it's a
yeah.
beautiful fucking disaster. It's
It's
great.
not beautiful. It is a disaster.
It is a
It's like
disaster.
watching a school bus fire. Like it's beautiful
entertain
and
you?
tragic. It's beautiful.
You need to remove
Okay,
that
maybe
word
not a
from your
school bus
lexicon.
fire.
You are a pile of darkness.
You're way out on the troll plague right now.
You are a collection
This is
of
just-
evil.
This is
Okay,
just
but
a troll one man.
you guys know what I'm saying is that's an amazingly bad movie.
Yes,
that
it
I've
is.
gotten so much
It
entertainment
is a
out of
remarkably
watching it.
bad
of
film,
course.
and it's always entertaining to watch how bad it is.
I just
Yeah.
want you guys to understand something about Dave that you'll never hear it said, but you need to understand this. When I asked Dave for a bunch of Academy Award movies that he pirated, this is like 3 years ago. He gave me all those movies on a thumb drive, but he also gave me the Keanu Reeves movie Chain Reaction. And he was like, I put Chain Reaction on here also. And I was like, why? And he was like, because it's Chain Reaction.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. Why would I? I had 18 movies to watch.
It's a pretty
but
good
here's why
movie.
this matters. Because, like, Dave's going to force one stupid-ass thing on you. He's going to do that. He's going to force it on you. And he's going to twinkle in his eye with madness. As he tries to ruin your whole day.
But, like...
Chain Reaction does have
Don't justify what he did.
a cameo of
It's got Rachel
Mike
Weisz
Shannon
in it.
I don't care.
as a floral truck driver.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that's great.
And
I
he's,
should have watched
he's
it.
credited as Mike Shannon.
Yeah, Mike Shannon.
Mike Shannon.
Really changes everything about him to call him Mike.
It really does.
Hey, Mike Shannon.
It sure does.
Yeah. That sounds like an electrician or something.
Yeah, it sounds like a guy driving a floral truck.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
No,
Jesus,
pass.
Jesus God.
Yeah.
Just send us right up the loop-de-loop or whatever the things are in
Yeah.
Sonic. I actually need to play a whole Sonic game.
Sure.
I've been trying.
Mike's going to electrify me if I don't do it at some point.
I've been trying. It's always my problem with the Sonic games. It's like it's called Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a fast ass hedgehog, and it seems like the levels are designed for you to be running top speed.
Yes.
It is impossible to run through.
Yeah,
Sonic
I was
level.
going to
Very
say,
difficult.
it's
They
not
throw-
very fun.
Whoa! They throw you're constantly like stopping
Yeah.
and having to run slowly back uphill. It's bullshit.
It's
Yeah.
also confusing in some way. Like, the level design... I mean, this is not a video game podcast, but, like, the level design is always, like, where am I going again? And, like, how do I get there? There's always a moment like that in every Sonic level I've ever
Yeah,
played.
and you feel like you can't get everything in a level.
Right. You never have that
There's a lot of
moment in a
doubling
Mario
back.
game,
It's
ever.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it. I don't think Sonic's a very good game. I've
That's
played...
what most video game critics think also.
Oh, okay.
They
yeah.
also think
it's
it's
just
bad.
a badly designed game.
But, like, Sega boys are emotional about this, so you can't
Right.
get too out on a limb about it.
I think it'd make a great live action film, though.
Sure,
starring
starring
people.
James Marsden.
James Marsden in blue paint.
I hope it comes.
Yep.
Oh boy,
with a fake,
I hope it comes
with
out
a-
because I'm
with
going
a
to
rubber
make you watch
mohawk
this.
on his head.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with you to watch this. You're going to have to watch
Okay,
it.
we'll watch
I'm going
it.
to Clockwork Orange you again.
that's fine.
So put those like things in his eyes.
Yeah,
so he has
yeah,
to
Oh
see
yeah,
it,
little clips.
you know. I was wrong. I see it now. I was wrong.
Brought it back to Clockwork Orange.
That's all, as I always do.
Oh man. Andrew Lincoln is going to leave The Walking Dead.
Thank God he's left it like many seasons after we've all left it.
Right.
What are they going to do?
I don't.
They need
They're
to
going to give.
stop.
They're going to give Norman Reedus $20 million.
I saw that,
apparently,
Yeah, someone needs to step
I
in.
like Norman Reedus
Sure.
on that show.
But like, I don't watch that show.
Yeah.
That show lost me a long time ago.
I didn't like it after season 3.
They're still in the
I've read the
fucking
comic
woods.
books, almost all of it, which is weird because I don't read comic books usually.
I don't
but
like the comic.
I liked it until Negan, and then it was like, this is just the same thing. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Right. It's the same. Every arc is the same. It's Rick and Co. get to a new place. They fuck it up.
There's some crazy
Zombies
psychopath.
break. There's either a
Yeah.
crazy psychopath or they screw it up.
Right.
Like with Arlington, I think it was.
Yeah.
Zombies come in and they
Right.
have to leave, and then it's the next place, and the same thing happens.
I don't think zombie apocalypse can be just a setting.
yeah.
Or it can
they-
be just a setting for a movie or story that's about something entirely different than that. That's okay. Like, for instance, I think you could argue that that first Edgar Wright film that named
Shaun of the Dead.
that's it's a zombie movie, but it's a love story, and like that's part of why it works.
yeah.
This show is like zombies are the plot, but they're also the setting. But the plot's not advancing anywhere.
No,
It's
they're,
just, this
they're
is gonna go
spinning
on
their
forever.
wheels. They're
Yeah.
spinning their wheels forever, and this slowly, they're getting off on two things. Is that I see a lot of people who hate watch the show, and I see a lot of people who watch it just to see which big character dies per season.
That's all they have.
And that's
the
all
only
they have.
Storytelling juice
They
have
have
is
characters
which character
making
you're gonna smoke.
dumb decisions that people hate watch it for, and then someone dies, and you're like sitting there either hoping it's the character you hate who dies or the character, or you're scared that it's the character you like, and that's all they got going for them.
I might be ignorant about that. Did you guys watch ER?
No.
Did you ever watch ER?
For a while, yeah.
Why did you like that show? Did you like it?
Yeah.
Why did you like it?
I liked the characters.
Okay.
I liked that it was, this is right after Jurassic Park, so it's way on the Michael Crichton train.
Sure.
I watched it with my parents, so it was like a thing we did every
Right.
Thursday.
And it was just procedural, right? It was
Yeah,
just
it's
like
just
here's
procedural in a
part of the week.
hospital. Yeah.
And but there was also sort of longer term, like
There were some
long
longer
arcs.
overarching things, but mostly it was just a procedural.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's because Walking Dead's not exactly a procedural, but I was going to make the argument
It
that
kind of is.
Walking Dead is kind of just ER.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind
It's
of just
kind of
that.
House.
Yeah,
It's-
well,
but
House is a lot more quirky of a
Well,
premise.
yeah, I guess the difference, like, I can watch a repetitive show like that
Right.
when I enjoy the characters, and it's like, sure, it's the same plot over and over again, but you
A procedural still engages you.
yeah, you watch
in a
it to
way
go
that I
to
don't think
bed,
Walking
or
Dead does.
that's the problem.
I mean,
The
Lost
Walking
is the best
Dead,
comparison, I guess.
The Walking Dead is repetitive, but it's also depressing to watch.
Well,
so it's like I'm not getting anything out of this.
It makes all the characters the same too. That's
Yeah.
like they lose their individuality over time because they all end up facing the same problems.
yeah, and
Just
then
I have to kill human beings to survive. What have I become? Am I just a Walking Dead myself?
And Andrew Lincoln's character, for those, I haven't watched the last season. I slowly stopped watching. I was one of the last holdouts. I watched.
How far did you watch?
I got until there was a dude with fucking a tiger. A dude with a tiger.
yeah.
I
I checked back in for that. 'Cause
Yeah.
we were talking about it. It cracked.
and it was a decent CG tiger.
Totally.
But it basically Rick's thing is that he's literally gone back and forth to, I don't want to kill, to I'm going to get dark and kill, and then I'm going to find myself again and not kill. I don't want to kill.
Right.
I'm going to dark and kill, and he just kept doing it, and it was like, what the
That's
fuck
life,
is
man.
this? Yeah, and that's Again, I feel like there's nothing
Shrug,
left to
I know.
say. The
Shrug.
show's spinning its wheels. Someone needs to step in.
That show.
I think
They should all be arrested.
because
We've talked about this before with a few things. Is that I feel like the government needs to get involved and arrest everybody making The Walking Dead, and be like, you need to stop.
you're a man who believes
done.
in nothing.
Stop.
I'm really enjoying.
No, there's a
the
few
nihilism
things
from
like
Dave
this
today.
where like someone needs to step in and just tell them to stop.
So, is Fear the Walking Dead a successful show?
I don't know, honestly.
I watched one season of that. It was very bad.
I didn't watch it. Fear the Walking Dead is to me the only reason to not end The Walking Dead with Rick's departure. Because Fear the Walking Dead, if it matters, if people are watching, which I don't know, and I can't imagine it's good, but that might have, like, I imagine the end of this zombie show would have some kind of impact on zombie stuff elsewhere, or you would think it would.
Yeah. The problem is, Fear the Walking Dead, I watched the first season, it was like, okay, it's going to be how we get there, you know?
Right.
Within like 3 episodes, it's just The Walking Dead.
Of course
again.
it is, because
And it was
what
just
people
like,
wanna watch.
yeah, it was just like, well, fuck, like I don't care about these characters. It's like The Walking Dead, but they're on a boat, and it's like,
I think The Walking Dead should really consider the idea of just the zombies ultimately die out.
yeah,
And then the show becomes like actually like there's a legitimate effort to rebuild society. And it becomes that. Like we watch that process go.
what I want,
That would be a more interesting show.
I want something to happen, like a
Well, that's what I
progression.
mean, you
Yeah,
know?
I want them because right now they've been in the same like 2 states too. They haven't left. I want The Walking Dead to end by a bunch of government guys showing up and being like, "What the fuck are you all doing in this woods? We've been moved on. Like, what society's rebuilt like 20 miles that way.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck
Just
you guys
not
are
down
doing
here in
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you want it to be like the guy who piloted that plane in Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
He just like shows up and he's like, "What have you been up to, you kids?
Yeah,
What
what
you
is
What have you
this?
kids been doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, you want to tell us about movies that deserve more hype?
I do. I want to talk about
Sweet.
tell you about 2 of them.
That works out because we missed it last week.
Oh no, I had a movie for you last week. I just wasn't here, and I don't think it
give
was
it
good.
to
It was
us.
like some James Franco movie that just came out.
I
Oh,
think
yeah, I
I'm
know
just going
what
to
you're
pass on him for a while.
Yeah, let's all. Yeah,
Let's just
government should get
Let's
involved.
cancel
and
James
arrest
Franco.
him.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one's called Good Manners. It is from, I believe, Brazil. The directors are Brazilian. It is a fantasy werewolf film, and for most of the reviews seem like they're sad to tell you it's a werewolf film. I think it's
Right.
one of those movies that, like, when it premiered at festivals, they tried to avoid telling you it's a werewolf film.
But there's no indication it's a werewolf film in the trailer.
Well, there's a werewolf
Oh,
in the
no,
trailer.
Did I miss the
disagree.
werewolf?
Yeah. There's a werewolf.
It's really clearly a werewolf.
Man, I missed it.
You missed the werewolf.
I clearly did. Shit.
It was a very Shape of Watery werewolf too.
Yeah.
By which I mean not as scary a werewolf as you would think.
Yeah, and I don't think it's about being on the side of the monster. It's a woman who's looking after a pregnant woman who turns out to be a werewolf. And I think again, the fact that she turns out to be a werewolf is something they have to sort of tell us, because otherwise we're not going to watch this movie.
She seems to be afraid that her child's going to be a werewolf.
A werewolf too, yeah.
I don't know where I first heard this, and I'm sure it's like common knowledge, but isn't there like a long-standing metaphor that werewolf movies are basically about the female menstruation cycle? Isn't that like a long-term metaphor?
That sounds...
I don't know.
It's like once every
because
full
the moon,
they show up and they're
turn
bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm
turn
hearing.
into monsters. You know, it's like a...
That's not great.
I have been hearing that this movie is...
I've heard that. I mean, I feel like that's an old...
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, it's the lunar cycle and stuff, so
Yeah.
I guess so.
So that's why I think this movie's a little bit interesting, though, is because they chose to go further into
Right,
that
yeah,
metaphor.
they're really going into it.
Well,
Which is
yeah.
kind of cool. I think that's a brave choice in some ways, you know?
And that's what I've been hearing with the reviews, is that there's some sort of deeper meaning to this movie.
Right.
It's about being a woman, a pregnant woman, specifically afraid that something's going to go wrong with the pregnancy. All those things. She's
also
there's
a lesbian
it's
in it,
almost.
right?
I think it's mainly a female cast. Yeah, I think they have a relationship.
Right.
The trailer's a little disjointed. It's beautiful.
Yes.
The setting looks, again, they describe it as fantasy because the city that they're in doesn't look like a real city.
I think it's just lit in a way that's very saturated.
Right.
And
it
it's
is a
beautiful.
real city. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like a fantasy. It's
I mean,
don't know.
I think it just more exposes how bland most things in America are.
Yeah.
Because like, it looked like other things I've seen in different countries and stuff.
Right.
I think it's cool that it's not a spooky looking movie.
Sure.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, because it's not what you expect.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
have heard that there's like some werewolf animatronic and makeup effects in there. Like there's
right up your
apparently
alley.
a lot of gore in it.
You love that.
So it's not treated like a spooky movie, but I think it has horror elements in it.
There's been like a new tradition of late for like there to be a foreign film that's about an old fable, and it's
Yeah.
like a strange sort of Wes Anderson-y retelling in some ways. Like there was a mermaid movie a couple years ago or like last year that was
Oh yeah.
it was Danish or Norwegian.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it also had a Wes Anderson-y quality to it.
I'm trying to remember what it's called.
There's
can't remember it.
But
let's see.
it's a mermaid that eats people, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's not The Lure.
The Lure might be right, actually.
That's about two mermaid sisters.
Yes,
who,
that's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah, who do like a music. They like sing and dance.
Correct. That's the one I'm
And they
thinking.
also murder people. And I still haven't seen it. And
It's
it looks great.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And like it's like that's like a thing going
Oh yeah.
on
There's
right
also
now.
Spring. Spring's an older one. That's that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like them doing that. And again, Spring is more than just a monster movie. I like them using fucking Let the Right One In is sort of like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, is where it's making these things more than just monsters.
Well, I think also,
Making them have feelings.
quite frankly, just the not Americanness of those movies
Yeah.
lends some emotion to it for me that I'm like, oh, cool.
I
That's a
will-
different way to look at life and this, you know?
I
Yeah.
wonder if they can get away with it because they don't go through a studio system either, where they don't feel this need to have to sell the movie or make it something that it's not, where
You're
they can
gonna
just...
like hearing this. A lot of those governments pay for those movies, Dave.
No, that's what I was saying. The government needs to step in.
You're going to like hearing this, Dave.
Yep.
In other countries, the government
big
pays for
art
movies to
subsidies. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. It's
Why
really
don't we
neat
do
about
that?
It's
Yeah.
neat that they do that.
We need to do that.
Oh, Dave. Wouldn't we love that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
Government needs to step in, arrest the Star Wars
the
people and
makers
the
of
Walking
The
Dead
Walking Dead.
people. Yeah.
And fund a new Mario movie, according to you.
And fund a new Mario movie.
What's your next movie?
The next movie...
has so much rage that I even brought it up
Fucking
again.
Goblin.
The next movie I saw last minute, right before this podcast, is called Poor Boy. And
Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
it's all right. It's got actors in it and there's a plot. But what the big takeaway I got from it is that it features Michael Shannon as a sad rodeo clown.
You loved that, yeah.
Yeah, he's in
He
full
was great.
makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really all you need to know
Smoking a
about this
cigarette.
movie. Yeah,
It looks,
was-
looks kind of like Hell or High Water meets True Romance.
It does. Yeah.
it actually came out in like 2016.
Right.
And it's been in re-edits, so that's not a good sign.
Well, but sometimes that's not always a bad sign either.
Okay,
Because,
yeah.
like, I mean, not to bring up this monster, but Harvey Weinstein was known for buying movies and recutting them up and then releasing them a year later when they were with new titles and slightly different edits, and they were more
Fair enough.
Palpable.
they were just
palatable.
pasted away that Americans are used to.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll make this a Secret Cloverfield.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
That's what
does
they've
seem
been up
very
to.
much like the plot of Hell or High Water. And then there's also Michael Shannon as a rodeo clown.
Yeah, it's like a heist. It's two just like
Two
hit
brothers?
guys who,
He
do
just
one
seems like
last
Lear's
crime.
fool in this trailer. You know what I mean? He just seems like a wise old fool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also seems
Yeah,
like
it's
he's
probably
in
smart.
it for 5 minutes.
Right. It seems like a supporting role. Like he's not the
Definitely.
main
Again, they
character.
shot it a little while ago. Maybe they're just like, all right, push Michael Shannon as a rodeo clown.
Well, he's the
a
only
meme now.
He's the only star in it, really.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that, that's true. He's definitely the biggest name that they got.
Yeah.
There was another person in it, though, that was like, oh, yeah. But I can't think of who it was now. So this is not a useful comment.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it in because I don't make cuts unless I have to.
Just like all 20 minutes of my sighing.
That's
right
right.
there.
It's going to be 20 minutes of sighing. Make it as a ringtone, everybody. Just heavy sighs of disgust and disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this movie looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it
it'll
also
probably be
had
good.
the potential to be like that stupid tire movie. What was the name of that movie?
Rubber. I love Rubber.
No, Dave.
I love Rubber.
Rubber is a bad film.
I never saw it because I had the same push and pull from my friends where it was like, Rubber's great, Rubber sucks. I'm like, well, I'm just not going to watch it.
I mean,
Maybe I
it's
should
a
be easier
joke.
on
It's a
my fellow
practical
filmmakers.
joke on the audience, but the
That's-
part where the tire. First of all,
It's really funny.
yeah, one of
It
my
is
favorite
funny.
things. I couldn't figure out how they made the tire go. A lot of the times, they were doing some really impressive like tire effects.
They were not.
They were.
I guarantee you, there's like.
Oh, no, there was a
something
lot of-
really simple in there.
I'm
Like,
sure there was
it's an
something
RC
really.
car or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was very neat, and yeah, the part where he sees the tire fire, and then it just instantly cuts to just dead bodies everywhere.
That was a smart
Oh,
movie.
so-
So, for those of you who haven't seen this movie, which is probably everyone, I'm being too hard on it. It does have its good moments, but it was a little bit of a letdown for me.
Sure.
It's a story of basically a psychopathic tire that murders an entire town.
Yep.
Yeah, it just rolls around. It learns it can explode heads.
Right,
Yeah.
and like when I say that, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was not as strong as it sounds.
Well,
I think
all
that's
right.
a fair.
I would.
characterization.
Oh yes, the problem with the movie was it's a little too artsy. I was surprised by that.
I see
They had
that.
the audience watching. They had that group of people with binoculars coming.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, "What the fuck are
That
you
was
doing?
weird.
Just make it about the tire."
Right.
Like, don't try to be like weird and surreal and like. I mean, I like surreal films. Me as a teenager
not
would have
this.
gotten really high and watched this and thought it was fucking amazing. But yeah, this didn't need to be.
This needed to be Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yeah, this was a
Yeah.
little too meta. Like at the
Right?
yeah.
Fucking hobo with a shotgun.
But like,
But I
isn't
did
that
ap-
the touchstone for this?
I did
Like,
I think
appreciate
there's a
it.
trailer for Rubber at the beginning of Hobo with a Shotgun.
Of course
Yeah.
there is. These two movies should have gotten married.
I did appreciate that it was made well. Like it was
pretty well made,
It was
yeah.
made with care and stuff. I
Yeah.
just
There was a
disagree with
talented
some of the
filmmaker behind
artistic choices made in
Yeah.
this movie.
There was definitely a talented filmmaker and maybe even screenwriter behind it. It just didn't all come together.
Yeah,
for
I
me.
haven't seen any more of his films. There's Wrong. I haven't seen Wrong yet.
I haven't either. The point is that Poor Boy is, to me, has rubber potential.
It could go in a very weird,
Yeah.
Right.
sort of unwatchable direction.
Because like True Romance, and this might be a controversial opinion, I didn't love that movie either.
I don't like it that much.
I thought,
No,
I
I'm
mean,
not
I
a
like
big
the
fan.
script. I just didn't love the movie. For some reason, I just didn't like. I feel like people romance that movie
Yeah.
more than it is
Well, it's
good.
I think my problem with True Romance is I don't believe the main characters exist.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an
Like
interesting problem.
they introduce you to them right away. And I'm like, these are not real people.
Oh, I see. You
Well-
don't buy the movie premise. Of
Correct,
Them. Oh,
yeah. I don't
you
buy the
them as
premise.
people.
I would
Yeah.
argue that in a vacuum, most Tarantino films, the characters are like that. Where you watch them, you're like, these aren't people. But
I
that,
didn't get
but
that
it works
feeling
in
watching
Tarantino movies.
yeah, I was about to say
Reservoir
it
Dogs or Pulp works. Fiction or anything. Like, I
It
didn't
works.
Get that feeling.
It maybe
he didn't
he
direct
knows.
True Romance.
No, it was Tony Scott.
I think so.
it was.
He knows how to direct
Oliver
his
Stone.
own. Oh yeah, it was Oliver Stone. You're
I could
right.
be wrong about
Really?
that. I think so. But I think
Yeah.
Oliver Stone, as brilliant and talented as he is, he misses sometimes for me.
I also Natural Born Killers is a movie I watched a bunch.
Same. I don't care about that
But
one.
I sort of it's like, man, I don't want to see these people's bummer murder relationship. Like, I'm not into this. This is depressing.
But that's like a genre of movie, though. Like
Mm-hmm.
Badlands, which is the first Terrence Malick film.
Yeah, none of
is
these movies
basically
appeal
that.
to me. Yeah.
Badlands is kind of interesting. You should watch that movie.
Tony
Okay.
Scott.
It is Tony Scott.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know. True Romance, it's whatever.
He's doing a little dance. You guys can see it.
Boy, it was a real treat.
It was great. It was like a shooting your guns in the
Yeah.
air.
Dave and I both panted for 20
Cowboy.
minutes.
Real Yosemite Sam dance.
Yeah.
that I did for being right about Tony Scott making True Romance.
Yeah.
He deserved a dance. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a show.
It's a
That
hell
is
of a show.
definitely a show.
Damn. Thanks for being on, Adam.
Thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Anything you want to plug while you're here?
I mean, yeah, the One-Upsmanship podcast on Small Beans is between Mike and myself, Mike Swam and myself. I don't have anything I can plug yet.
That's
Okay.
fair.
It's
Well,
different.
come back
Other than my Twitter,
fair.
when you come.
which
Yeah,
is the
plug-
real Gans. That's me. I'm on the Twitter as that.
You're the real Gans.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was fun.
Are you- what are you gonna, is Dave going to kill everybody?
Oh, probably. As soon as we're finished recording, and as soon as he's done coughing,
He's
directly
winding
into the
up with a
microphone.
death cold right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, CORLEW, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown, and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info. Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.